All right, welcome back to Blue City Reviews. Thanks once again for watching. Today I'm talking about Split Second, starring Rutger Hauer, from director Tony Maylam, although he was replaced two-thirds, three-quarters of the way through the production. Talk more about that in a bit. This is one of my favorite B movies from the early 90s. Seemed like this thing was always on cable, and I probably rented it 1,000 times. More realistically, like 20, 30 times. $2 a pop, man, it's a lot of paper route money. But yeah, I loved this film. This was the type of thing that was released during that time when the whole post-apocalyptic wasteland thing was a commercial choice. I mean, it still kind of is if done right through a specific lens, but at this point, like if you had a script that you didn't quite know what to do with, well, just have it take place in a post-apocalyptic wasteland, and there people will show up to see it, like Highlander 2, and there's lots of movies like that that for no reason have that element to them. Now, this is Rutger Hauer's greatest performance to me. Now, his best performance, quote unquote, may be The Hitcher. You know, there could be a strong argument made for that. But to me, this will always be my favorite performance of his because you can tell he was able to go completely off the rails here. And maybe that's why the director left, or they were having problems and he kind of was forced out or stepped out. Because, like, you can tell Rutger Hauer's like, okay, the script is what it is. We have very little budget. I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna shake it up, and I'm gonna do my thing. And he does, as his boss says in this, his character is addicted to anxiety, caffeine, and chocolate, and he plays it as such. The Wikipedia page describes his character as a burned out cop. I don't see it that way at all. I mean, he's not at the bar drinking every night like most of the characters in these types of things. The plot is his character is chasing a serial killer slash mutated sewer creature slash demon, maybe all of the above, around the city as it's ripping the hearts out of people. It killed his partner many years prior, and during the process took a chunk out of Rutger Hauer's character as well. Thus, he has a psychic bond with this thing when this entity slash serial killer, whatever, is around. He can feel its presence. He can sort of hear its heartbeat, and he sort of is summoned to the locations of these murders before they happen. He's straddled right away in typical buddy cop movie fashion with a spunky younger partner, in this case a psychologist with a convenient knowledge of the occult, played by Alistair Neil Duncan. I think he's switched his name around a bit. I'm not sure. Let's see. No, Alistair Duncan he's credited as here. So, this is very much a buddy cop movie, aside from, the alien type of stuff and, the rainy streets, the forlorn future, the Blade Runner elements. This is very much a buddy cop film with a lot of humor. And in that realm, it succeeds. I was just talking about Tango and Cash on the channel. I watched that with my fiance last week or a couple weeks ago, something. And I was talking about all my favorite buddy cop movies. This should be on that list because it certainly qualifies despite the fact that it's gory sci-fi. This is definitely, a solid buddy cop movie and, in my opinion, better than Tango and Cash. Kim Cattrall also shows up here as she's the widow of his partner, and they have a love affair going on. She's sporting the same haircut she had in Star Trek 6, which I'm sure was a time constraint and or a budgetary thing, but it works great, right? It makes the movie feel a little out of place, a little futuristic. So, the global warming stuff isn't the only sign that this is in the future, in the distance. The cinematography here by Clive Tickner is phenomenal. The opening shot of London is, you think they did some post-production work on that shot because it looks like London is just toppled over and in disarray, but that's London. He just waited until a rainy, drizzly day and they flew over. He waited till the sun was just right to catch that ambiance, and they fucking got it. There's no effects to it, just great cinematography. What you can do with a very low budget, cut Rutger Hauer loose, get a great cinematographer, get a great B-movie score here from Steve Parsons and another gentleman, Francois Haynes. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. Great B-movie score. I know they replaced Wendy Carlos, who had done some fantastic stuff. And you can hear some excerpts from her original score on a CD she released called Lost Themes. I believe that's it. Lost Themes. But I think the score here is sufficient. It's composed mainly of loops. A lot of composers around this time on low budgets were using the same loops. This has, you can distinctly hear a Nightmare on Elm Street loop in here right away, but that's not an insult. I think this score is great. I used to have it. I went up to find it after I finished the movie just to blare it through the surround, but no dice. Must have lost it in the fire. Split Second. Now, this special edition DVD, like if you're a fan and you're still working with a VHS or, you know, that old DVD, which I believe is full screen, I never got it because it was always like 20, 30 bucks, and I knew one day this is going to come out. The audience is too big for this not to have a special edition release in the States. It's been overseas for a while because they have a more adventurous sense about movies overseas. But I knew we were going to get one. This is worth an upgrade. The features are great. You get some Neil Duncan interviews with the producers, interviews with the composer. You get kind of various viewpoints of why the original director was left. And in my opinion, it's probably everybody's telling the truth. He was pushed out and he left on his own accord, and it was probably a bunch of different things. I mean, this is a troubled production. Now, what doesn't work on the features, unfortunately, is the audio commentary. This is one of those audio commentaries where, for whatever reason, they got people in to just fucking run the movie into the ground for an hour and a half. Now I get some jokes. I get maybe taking a Mystery Science Theater 3000 approach to this. But hell, even Jonah Ray, who does the new Mystery Science Theater 3000, on his commentary for the Maximum Overdrive Special Edition, had some respect, and he bounced it off. This is like, why am I even listening to you guys? I mean, if you really just are watching this with that much irony, it's not a perfect film. Yeah, it's a B movie. I mean, yeah, you know, within the first 5 minutes, you get, you know, gore and bear jiggling breasts interspersed. It's a B movie, but there's a lot more to it than that as well. And this has an audience for a reason. There's a special edition coming out for a reason. I mean, as they were recording it, they should have thought about this instead of just, you know, it's a very negative commentary, and I didn't learn a single goddamn thing. Maybe if I'd watched it before watching the rest of these features, which there are many. There's even the deleted scenes, which some people say you could have put back in there. Some people say you couldn't. I'm in the middle. You know, I would have liked to have seen more scenes of these two, especially after Durkin's character just completely has a breakdown after he sees this thing. And they become basically the same character, which I talked about in my Tango and Cash review, right? At the end of these movies, they usually become the same person. Their experiences meld. This is a hilarious relationship between these two. And apparently in the original cut, there's a bit more there between the two. So that would have been great. But as it stands, Split Second, 1992. It's not just Blade Runner meets Alien, as some reviewers said. This has got some charm of its own, mainly because Rutger Hauer was doing whatever the hell he wanted. And he was immersed in this character and lost. And, you know, if you're into this sort of late 80s, early 90s macho type humor, it's fantastic. And shout out to Stephen Norrington for the kick-ass creature design. Venom crossed with a xenomorph. Pretty rad. Thanks once again for watching Blue City Reviews. Might be our longest one ever. Gonna cut it short before 10 though. Cheers.